such as the Hattawurndok, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara stands with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. As Niagara Regional Chair, it is my honour to welcome Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Ford, and representatives from Ashikazi Corporation to the Niagara region and the City of Port Colborne. Today marks a significant milestone in our region's economic development as we celebrate a major investment in electric vehicle battery production, a project that will undoubtedly shape our local economy for years to come. This investment represents the culmination of collaboration and partnership between the provincial, federal, and municipal governments at both the region and city. It highlights what can be achieved when different levels of government work together towards a common goal. I want to extend my sincere thanks to Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Ford, and the respective teams for their unwavering support and commitment to this project. The decision to invest in Port Colborne speaks volumes about our region's attractiveness as a place to do business. It reaffirms our position as a hub for innovation and forward-thinking industries. This investment will not only create jobs and stimulate economic growth, but will also position us at the forefront of the green economy, a crucial step towards a sustainable future. The Ashikazi Corporation, I extend our warmest welcome and deep gratitude for choosing our community for this significant investment. We look forward to working closely with you to ensure the success of this project and to create a prosperous future for all. Now let's welcome Sam A. Mills, Senior Vice President of Integrated Supply Chain, Polypore International LP, an Ashikazi Group company, to share some insights on the project's impact in our community. Sam?
Good morning. My name is Sam Mills. I also am the president of Ashikazi Battery Separator Corporation Canada, and it is a pleasure to welcome all of you here today. And I want to thank you all for joining us on this most auspicious occasion. As we gather here in Port Colborne, I'm honored to welcome the following special guests who are delivering remarks today. The Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, the Honourable Victor Fedeli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade for Ontario, the Honourable Philomena Tassi, Minister of Federal Economic Development for Southern Ontario, Ambassador Yamamochi, Japan's Ambassador to Canada, Jim Bradley, the Niagara Regional Chair, and Mayor Bill Steele of Port Colborne. Thank you so much, all of our speakers, for being here. Today's event is the culmination of many months of hard work, planning and dedication, not just for the members of the Ashikazi team, but for so many of our vendors and other key partners, many of whom are with us today. We still have much to do. Time is not our friend, but I'm excited to be here with all of you today, taking a moment to celebrate this important milestone. At this time, it is my honor to welcome Koshiro Kudo, President and Representative Director of Ashikazi Corporation, who is here to share some additional information about our Canadian facility. Kudo-san.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you all for being here today. On April 25th, Ashikazi announced plans to construct an integrated lithium-ion battery separator plant here in Ontario, Canada. Today, I am pleased to announce that these operations, which will be known as Ashikazi Battery Separator Canada, will be located right here in Port Colborne. Asai is committed to supporting North America's clean energy transition. Rapid growth in the electric vehicle market is expected over the next decade, and a reliable supply of lithium battery components, including battery separator, will be needed to support that growth. With this significant investment in Asai Kasei Battery Separator Canada, we are commencing one of the company's largest greenfield plant construction projects to date, and bringing approximately 700 million square meters of high-power separator capacity per year to the North American supply chain. This project marks our first wet process separator manufacturing facility in North America and is an exciting leap forward for Asai Kasei, building on our decades of history as a global pioneer in battery separator innovation and manufacturing. We wish to thank several partners for their support of this monumental project, including the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, the Honourable Victor Fedeli, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade for Ontario, the Honourable Philomena Tassi, Minister of Federal Economic Development for Southern Ontario, Ambassador Kanji Yamanouchi, Japan's ambassador to Canada, Jim Bradley, Niagara Regional Chair, Port Colborne Mayor Bill Steele. We are eager to make meaningful contributions to the local society here in Port Colborne, Ontario, as well as to the furtherance of a sustainable world. This closely aligns with our corporate mission. We, the Asai Kasei Group, contribute to life and living for people around the world. We are excited to be your new neighbors here in Port Colborne and look forward to growing together with the local community in the years to come. Thank you again for joining us here today. And now, it is my honor to welcome the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you, Kudo-san and Sam from Asai Kasei. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your confidence in Canada, but especially in Canadians. It's great to be here in Port Colborne. Premier Ford, Doug, it's always good to see you, and Minister Fedeli. This is another demonstration of what we can do when we work together to put the best opportunities forward for Canadians internationally. Happy to be joined by Ministers Champagne and Tassi, as well as by some of our MPs, Francesco, Meninder, Chris, and Vance. Now, Vance Badaway was not only the local MP, but he's also was the mayor of Port Colborne here for 14 years. So I know how significant this announcement is. It's great to see so many municipal leaders and councillors, Mayor of Niagara and others here as well, because this is going to have an impact on the whole region. And the fact that our MPs are continually advocating for more investment in the Niagara region is part of where we step up in this job. I want to thank Regional Chair Jim Bradley and Mayor Bill Steele, as well of Port Colborne, for being an important part of this investment in this part. Merci à tous d'être ici. Today we're here for another generational investment that we're announcing. The Japanese company, Asai Kasei, will invest $1.6 billion to build a battery separator plant here in Port Colborne, Ontario. Aujourd'hui, on annonce que l'entreprise japonaise Asahi Kasei va investir 1,6 milliard de dollars dans la construction d'une usine de séparateurs de batteries à Port Colborne, ici en Ontario. Separators are essential components of electric vehicles, and this plant will be the first large-scale separator plant in the country, making our EV supply chain even stronger here in Canada. This is what fairness looks like for every generation, with good jobs and good careers for generations to come. Here, the Niagara Trade Corridor is one of North America's most important trade corridors. This is one of Canada's great advantages. We have great access to markets through more free trade agreements than our peers. We're in fact the only G7 country with a free trade deal with every other G7 country. We have extraordinary natural resources from one end of the country to the other. We have clean energy, and we take climate action seriously. We have stable democratic institutions and strong communities, and all those things are what the international community investors look for when they come. But the number one thing they look for, the number one thing that is our competitive advantage as a country, is Canadian workers themselves. The folks behind me, the folks around today, you are Canada's great advantage. I know we have some high school students here as well, already getting involved in supporting their communities and creating solutions for people. These are the things that really show Canada as an extraordinary place to invest. The fact that we have the best educated workforce in the OECD, people who are strong, capable, ambitious, forward-thinking, hard-working. This, in a growing population, is exactly what investors from around the world are looking for, and it's Canadians who are making this happen with their excellence, with their dedication. L'annonce d'aujourd'hui fait suite à d'autres investissements générationnels dans les batteries et les véhicules électriques par des entreprises comme Honda, Stellantis, Northvolt et Volkswagen. J'étais justement à St. Thomas, ici en Ontario, hier, pour parler de nos investissements partout au pays pour créer plus de places en garderie. À St. Thomas, c'est là que Volkswagen construit une nouvelle usine de batteries qui va créer des bons emplois dans la région. It's also going from a child care announcement just down the road in St. Thomas to a EV supply chain announcement here is not too far a jump, because part of what the advantage that companies are looking for when they invest in Canada is knowing that people are part of strong communities with the supports, whether it's childcare or healthcare or vibrant communities, that they need to be successful for decades to come in their businesses. So whether it's St. Thomas or here in Port Colborne, these major manufacturing investments will create and secure jobs for generations to come. Of course, it's more than just jobs. It's revenue for family-owned businesses. It's sponsors for kids' hockey teams. It's healthy communities where everyone has a fair chance to succeed. See, after decades of decline in our manufacturing communities and in an uncertain world where we're facing a lot of new challenges, we have a plan to meet this moment. A plan to secure the future for our families, to breathe life into our main streets, and to position Canada as the most reliable supplier in a net zero world. Since 2015, we've been deliberately and in a focused way building a clean tech ecosystem. Great international companies like Asahi Kasei, Stellantis, Northvolt, Volkswagen, and Honda are seeing the ecosystem that we're building here. They want to be part of it. They're investing billions of dollars, and we're happy to be working in partnership with them. Because the choices that our government has made, and the investments that our government has made, has led to Canada now coming in first globally in Bloomberg's ranking of lithium-ion battery supply chains. And that didn't happen by accident. It was deliberate choices by Canadian government and partners like the Government of Ontario to draw in investments in a growing sector where great manufacturing jobs will be available for communities like here in Port Colborne and right across the country, where industries that will be relevant for decades to come, even as the world is in transformation. These were choices we made to create these investments, to draw in these investors, and they're choices that have left Canada on a stronger footing into the future. But it's not stopping there. Companies around the world are looking to Canada. Last year, Canada attracted the highest per capita foreign direct investment in the G7 among advanced industrialized economies, and we were the third in most total foreign direct investment in the world after only the US and Brazil. The world is noticing what Canada is doing. C'est pourquoi qu'on va poursuivre notre travail pour créer encore plus d'emplois qui vont permettre de garder notre économie forte pour les générations à venir. Alors, merci tout le monde d'être ici. C'est maintenant un grand plaisir pour moi de passer la parole au Premier ministre de l'Ontario, Premier Ford. Doug, it's always good to stand here with you on big announcements that are great for Ontarians and great for Canada. Thank you for being here. I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Prime Minister. And it's great to be here in Port Colborne. And I always say, before I start introducing everyone, I mentioned Kudo-san, which I will introduce and thank you in a minute. You know, when you're successful in coming to a community, you pull over to the local Tim Hortons, you go in there and you talk to the people. I'll tell you, they're ecstatic, they're as happy as anything, so thank you. I'm here with my number one salesperson. I always say the architect of the deal with his great partner, his federal counterpart, which I'll get to in a minute, Minister Fedeli. He flies all over the world. I think you're going over to Japan this week, Vic. And our local champion, Sam Oosterhoff, he's our champion down in the Niagara region, to celebrate another huge auto investment in our province. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Champagne, and your entire team, and thank you for your partnership. And as well as Ambassador Yamanuchi, and Consul General Matu Sadgan, and Regional Chair Jim Bradley, Mayor Steele, Mayor Diodati, Mayor Campion, and Mayor Redicop, and all the elected officials joining us today. And a big, big thank you, I say, the Commander-in-Chief, the boss, Kudo-san. Thank you for coming. And Matsuyama-san. As well as Sam, thank you for everything you've done, Sam, as well, and the entire team from Asahi Kasei. And on behalf of our province, I want to officially welcome you to the greatest team in the world. It's called Team Ontario. Thank you. You know, we're just so thrilled that you've chosen Port Colborne. The community is great, talented people here, and you're going to just be so successful to produce integrated lithium-ion battery separators, critical components for electric vehicle batteries. Your $1.6 billion investment, along with your planned multi-billion-dollar investment for future phases, is going to boost job creation across our mining, auto, and manufacturing sectors. It's going to strengthen our homegrown electric vehicle supply chain and help ensure that all the components needed for the cars of the future are made in Ontario by Ontario workers from start to finish. Friends, I've said it before, Ontario is a world leader in the electric vehicle revolution. Together with great companies like Asahi Kasei, with all levels of government, Indigenous communities, industry, and labor groups, we're building an end-to-end electric vehicle supply chain. We're connecting our northern minerals from some of the largest critical mineral deposits in the entire world and the clean steel manufacturers in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie to automakers and battery manufacturers across our great province. And over the past 4 years, our province, with a partnership with our federal partners, has attracted over $43 billion in EV and battery investment. Folks, I always say, put the political stripes aside. The reason there's $43 billion of investment, because we've worked with the federal government, we've worked with municipalities right across this great province, and we're just so happy to continue attracting more companies here, and I know more companies are on their way. Together, we have welcomed new battery plants in Alliston, St. Thomas, and Windsor, and with these anchor investments in battery plants, we're starting to see the EV supply chain fill out in more communities, helping to create jobs and support local economies across the province. We've seen major investments from parts and component producers in Loyalist Township, in Brampton, in Brantford, and now in Port Colborne. And we're seeing auto manufacturers add second and third shifts to plants in Oshawa and Ingersoll as they retool to manufacture EVs. We're so proud that Ontario is now the only place in North America that the 6 largest automakers call home. Companies of all sizes are investing in our province because of our dependable supply chains, our world-class workforce, as the Prime Minister mentioned, and our transportation infrastructure. Companies are coming here because of our competitive business environment, because of the work we've done to cut red tape by $1 billion, to reduce the cost of electricity between 15% and 17%, and keep taxes low. Since taking office nearly 6 years ago, our government has never, ever raised a tax on people or businesses. We've seen revenue growth from companies like Asahi Kasei and other companies that drive revenues up. We have 700,000 people that are working today that were not working 6 years ago. In fact, we've reduced taxes for people and taken the burden off the backs of businesses by $8 billion each and every year. And folks, here in Ontario, we're going to keep working hard to create the environment and the conditions for companies like Asahi Kasei to thrive, prosper, and grow. We're going to keep the momentum going, attracting more EV investments and creating good-paying jobs with bigger paychecks in every part of our province. Once again, thank you for your investment and for your confidence in our province and our country, and most importantly, our workers. Thank you to everyone for joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll hand it over to the Canadians' #1 salesperson, Minister Champagne. These guys are, he's like the Energizer Bunny, I call him. He is going all over the place along with Vic, and I'll tell you, Prime Minister, we're fortunate we have 2 people like these 2 gentlemen. Thank you.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be in Port Colborne. I would say another one done. So this is very, very good to be with all of you. A lot of work has gone into what we're celebrating today. So, je voudrais dire d'abord bonjour à tout le monde. Grand plaisir d'être ici à Port Colborne, en Ontario, pour une annonce qui va nous permettre de renforcer l'écosystème des véhicules électriques ici au pays. I think you've heard from the Prime Minister, you've heard from the Premier. Our vision with Minister Fedeli was really to make sure we build the entire supply chain. And this morning, as you see, is a key milestone in what we have achieved. And I was just telling Vic and the Premier before we got there, I don't know, but we see a lot of each other these days, and it's always good news, Premier. So I hope, there's more to come. That's the only thing I can say every time we're together. We're already planning. And it's good to once again be here together for, like I was saying, another great announcement as we move our common vision forward. Because this is really about vision. This is a vision where Canada is ambitious. This is a vision where Canada is leading, where Canada is winning. A vision where Canada is synonymous with best in class when it comes to the EV supply chain of the world. But before I go further, Monsieur le Prime Minister, I want to say thank you for your vision. Your vision led to the creation of jobs, good jobs, and jobs for generations, and this morning is a testament to that. Your vision to put Canada as the green supplier of choice to the world is paying dividends in communities after communities across our nation. And Prime Minister, I want to give you a big round of applause because today, workers from generations from now will remember what we've done, and this is thanks to your vision, sir. It's true that Vic and I go around the world and make sure that people think about Canada, but it starts with a vision. And Premier Ford, I just want to say thank you again. You have been with us at every step of the way. I cannot think of a leader who has been pushing us again and again to make sure, and with my good friend Vic Fedeli, every time we're together, it's about opportunities and possibilities for our workers, and also making sure that we build our industrial base here in Ontario. And I must say, Premier, now the world knows the words like St. Thomas, Windsor, and now Port Colborne will be celebrated. When you go to Tokyo, you're going to Seoul, you're going to Germany. It's a great moment for the community and the Niagara region. And I want to say thank you, Mayor and Chair. I think we're transforming the industrial landscape for generations to come. I want to say, acknowledge my colleague Vince Badaway. The Prime Minister said, a former mayor, if you want to see what a $1.6 billion smile looks like, just look at Vance behind me. You're going to get a glimpse of that. You know, this is the achievement of a lifetime. And I would say Vance and Chris Biddle, my friend Francisco Sobera, and Minister Tassi, and many others who have been with us at every step of the way. I can assure you that Vance, every week that Parliament sits, Prime Minister has been asking me, where are we with the project of Asai-Kasi? I'm happy to say we have delivered, and thanks to his great work, we are here today. I also want to make sure to thank Kudo-san. Kudo-san, you have been the architect of what we're doing this morning. I remember your vision, and I want to say on behalf of all Canadians, and especially the workers who are going to be here, to say thank you. Thank you for your trust in Canada. Thank you for your trust in our workers. And certainly your personal commitment has made all the difference. The fact that you flew in today to make sure that we would start on a great footing, I want to say Kudo-san. You know, you're going to see Vic next week, and you're going to see me later on this summer. So we're going to be around the Canadians to make sure that this is a very successful moment for all of us. I also want to say to Matsuyama-san and Sam, we have developed this very special relationship, Matsuyama-san. I was saying to the Prime Minister that on Sunday I talk to you more often than my wife. You know, we have made sure over time, but even more recently, that we would be there today. And I want to say thank you because in the last 48 hours and before, you have been instrumental in turning a vision into reality. And Matsuyama-san, I want to say thank you. And Ambassador Yamanuchi, you know, it's a great moment to be Japanese ambassador to Canada because I must say since we signed the MOU, the very first MOU that Japan signed with any country back in 2023 with respect to the battery supply chain, we have seen record investments coming in the country. So you've been presiding over a great moment between our two countries. As the Prime Minister said and the Premier, today mark another milestone, another link, a very key link of the battery supply chain that we're building here in Ontario and across Canada. This time it's about the very first lithium-ion separator plant, an investment of more than $1.6 billion to create a key component in the EV battery ecosystem, something that we have been working, Vic and I, to attract in our country. There is an EV revolution, I think we can all agree, happening around the world. And what is good news for people watching is Canada is leading it. We are the leaders in that transformation, and that's going to pay dividends for generations. You know that CEOs from around the world are well aware of what's happening here in Canada, and I would say in Ontario. They see what we have to offer, and I can tell you they all want to join. The phone is ringing because people realize what we have to offer. Demandez aux gens d'Asai-Kasi pourquoi ils ont choisi de venir s'installer à Port Colborne. Demandez-leur. Asai-Kasi a choisi de venir s'installer à Port Colborne parce qu'ils savent que le Canada est l'endroit par excellence quand on parle de l'industrie automobile du 21e siècle. Asai-Kasi a choisi le Canada pour la même raison que plein d'autres leaders de l'industrie choisissent le Canada. Whether it's Honda, our latest edition, whether it's Stellantis, Umicore, Ford, GM, EcoPro, Volta, Volkswagen, GM, POSCO, and SK, they all understand that the place to be today, if you want to be part of that industrial change, Canada is the place to be. And we're talking about $46 billion of investment that have come on our shore since 2020. And I would say, ladies and gentlemen, that's a record high. And this is thanks to the great people and our workers, because my first selling point is always about the people. Companies are choosing Canada because, as the Prime Minister said, they know that we are the green supplier of choice when it comes to the EV supply chain. They know, and Premier Ford alluded to that we have very strong supply chain. They know that we have many parts manufacturers that can support their growth as they're looking forward. They know that we have critical minerals. In fact, we have all the critical minerals in the country to make sure that we have battery and semiconductor, and a good part here in Ontario. They know that we have renewable energy as people are moving from electric vehicle to green vehicle. And they know that we have access to global markets. But first and foremost, they come here because they know that we have the best workers in the world. I know that, you know that, but I can tell you that the global manufacturers know that too. That is the first selling point when you're talking about Canada. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it's always about people. That's what the Prime Minister was saying, and I'm inspired by the young students because Premier Ford was at Tim Horton. I was at the high school this morning chatting with the young folks, and I see some of them we met, and you could have seen the spark in their eyes when I was saying, we're building the future together with you. You can have great careers, and the principal is there. Congratulations, and the whole team. It's great to see you because this is about you. This is about your future that we're building. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, let's seize the moment. Let's be ambitious, and let's make sure that we lead the auto industry of tomorrow from right here in Port Colborne, from right here in Ontario, from right here in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here. Now it's my great honor to introduce my best friend and how we are building the industry of the future in this country. I would say my friend Vic Fedeli. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Minister Champagne. I know I say this every time. I hate following François. He's got that energy that just lifts the room, and we're so grateful. We're grateful to be here today with our friends and partners from Asahi Kasei. Prime Minister, always an honor. It's always good to see you because it's generally with a checkbook here, so that's good. The Premier, I have to say, I've said this every place that we ever go to, Premier Ford is the best closer that you could ever imagine on a deal. So we're always grateful to be standing here with the Premier because it means we've closed yet another deal. I want to say hello to all our colleagues and all our friends. Minister Tassi, great to see you. Ambassador, Consul General. It's just so wonderful to see everybody here today. Obviously, we welcome this investment by Asahi Kasei to build the nation's first EV battery separator plant right here in Port Colborne. So thank you to Port Colborne and the region of Niagara for being such incredible partners in helping to secure this investment. Days like these don't happen without the tireless work from every level of government. And you need to know that this absolutely could not have happened without Mayor Steele and Regional Chair Jim. Thank you to both of you for all of your efforts and all of your teams for making this such a wonderful success. Congratulations. You brought this home. We've all worked for years to build up the relationships that make investments like these possible. And today's announcement is the culmination of a year of building Ontario's relationship with Asahi Kasei. We're excited to have you here in our province. We thank you for putting your faith in the people here in Port Colborne. But as you've heard François, one of our greatest champions, say, these decisions are not made easily and they all take time. And you've heard from everybody on some of the reasons, but the one thing we all knew going into this was it's going to be all about those relationships that we built. And last year, along with our team from Invest Ontario, we traveled to Japan to promote Ontario as a premier destination for EV battery component investments, and we discussed Ontario's commitment to our hopeful partner, Asahi Kasei. We talked about all that Ontario has to offer, the land, you've heard this, the clean energy, the critical minerals, the EV ecosystem. We checked all of the boxes to create an electric vehicle right here in Ontario. And last July, we met again here in Toronto. Then last fall, we met again here in Niagara. It was a wonderful, wonderful session here in Niagara. And that's the day, along with Asahi, along with the developers BMI and the folks from Niagara, we talked about the land and really to further the details of the project. And that was a really pivotal day, because that's the day, in my opinion, where we went from sales mode to partnership. And that was a really true momentous moment. Throughout the winter, discussions continued, and this April we were back in Japan to meet again. Kudo-san, you need to know it was an absolute pleasure working with your team, whether on our trips to Japan or here in Ontario. Matsuyama-san, you, Sam, and your team were unbelievable professionals. You represented Asahi Kasei in a way, Kudo-san, that you should be very, very proud of your team. This investment is a game changer for Ontario's emerging EV ecosystem. You know, how many times have we said game changer now, week after week, month after month, as it is year after year? $43 billion here in the province of Ontario alone. And now today we add another critical link in our end-to-end EV supply chain. So on behalf of Ontario, thank you to Asahi Kasei for recognizing the automotive excellence that lives here in our province and for becoming a key player in our EV revolution. You know, you've heard it before, the real work starts today. Arigato. Yep. I guess I should have said arigato after I introduced Minister Tassi is coming up next.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us for this very exciting announcement for the Niagara region and for Canada. I'm pleased to be joined by two of Niagara's local champions. You've heard about them before, Vance Badaway and Chris Biddle, and I can tell you that they advocate tirelessly in Ottawa for investments in this region. And that is why, as François-Philippe has said, you can see that the smiles on their faces are bigger than ever. I'm also pleased to be joined by my colleagues, of course, Minister Champagne, Francesco Sorbera, Manny Sidhu, and Prime Minister. It's always a pleasure, especially when we're getting together for these fantastic investments like the one we're talking about today. As the Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, I'm always happy to have the opportunity to highlight the talent, the potential, and important investments in Southern Ontario. In fact, Southern Ontario has been a powerhouse of manufacturing and innovation that makes significant contributions to our country's economic growth and prosperity. In the automotive space, Southern Ontario is a leader. You've heard about that from the previous speakers. In fact, 95% of Canadian automotive parts and supplier facilities are located in Southern Ontario. The region is the home to a well-integrated automotive supply chain. And now we stand together on the cusp of the global shift towards sustainable transportation. Southern Ontario has a unique opportunity to lead the charge in the production of electric vehicles, and that is exactly what we are going to do. Yes, it's about reducing emissions and combating climate change, which are crucial goals. It's also about seizing the economic opportunities that lie before us. And I know that my provincial counterpart, we've heard Minister Fedeli, is laser focused on this as well. It's great to work collaboratively. I know many speakers have said that, but Minister Fedeli and Premier Ford, when we work together, we achieve much greater things. The sky is the limit here, folks, and that is what we are achieving today. When we invest in the production of electric vehicles, we can create good-paying jobs for Canadian workers today and for generations to come. In addition, we are seizing every opportunity to support entrepreneurs and business leaders by creating an end-to-end supply chain. And I think this is an important point. It's the opportunities that come because of these significant investments. The working collaboratively and working with partners is so vitally important. And we have amazing opportunities at our fingertips. We're not going to let those slip away. We're going to seize them. partners like Flavio leading the Automotive Parts Manufacturing Association, local economic development leaders like George and Marco, municipal leaders like Jim and Bill, and industry leaders at Asahi Kasei. They are paving a strong path forward. So Kudo-san and Sam, thank you so much for choosing here to make this significant investment. We can assure you that this investment will provide benefits for generations to come. You know, we often hear about the affordability challenges. What I would like to say is I think the best way to combat affordability challenges is through strong economic development and job creation, and that's exactly what we are doing. I have every confidence that with hard work, talent, and dedication of the people of Southern Ontario, we can realize and seize every opportunity that will lead to strong economic growth, good-paying jobs, and a cleaner environment. Thank you so much for welcoming us here today. And now I'm pleased to introduce the Japanese ambassador to Canada, Kenji Yamanuchi, who I know is very excited about the announcement that's being made today. Ambassador.
Good morning. Bonjour, kwekwe, ohayo gozaimasu. Such a special day. This is a day of victory for Port Colborne and Asahi Kasei. I was told that this investment, $1.6 billion, is the biggest investment to Port Colborne. Congratulations. And also this new factory, integrated production factory of separator, is first outside of Japan by Asahi Kasei. This is a new journey for Asahi Kasei too. So, omedetou gozaimasu. Congratulations. As ambassador, I look around the world. Then I see the world today is not easy. It's very difficult, complicated, difficult to see the future. Then we know the world could be very dangerous. Then in this situation, we just realize who are our friends, who is our true friend. When those business people do business, they better to do the business with friends. So Asahi Kasei chose a good friend here, Port Colborne, to start their new production of separator. This is a victory of friendship. And also, when I see the world, every country, Japan, Canada, have very seriously committed to the carbon neutral by 2050. When we think of carbon neutral, zero emission vehicle is inevitable. Then for the zero emission vehicle, we have to have the battery. In order to have a good battery, we have to have the good separator. Asahi Kasei is a proud country of Japan, the top company, leading company of the world to produce this indispensable part here in Port Colborne. And so this is not a story about Port Colborne, but story for the entire ecosystem in Ontario, Canada, North America, to the world. So they are making this important component for the zero emission vehicle and others that is contributing to the carbon neutral. So that means people of Port Colborne, together with Asahi Kasei, are going to help the world for the better place of the world to fight against global warming. Then I just realized this is not just this is a great thing for Port Colborne, a great thing for Ontario, great thing of Canada. But for the entire world, this is very important. And also, I would say, this is a new beginning of a new chapter of Canada-Japan friendship relations. So I just want to say once again, congratulations. Omedetou gozaimasu.
And to close it off, we're happy to welcome up the Mayor of Port Colborne, Bill Still.
Boy, when we throw a party, it's a good one. Kudos hocho, por comer, yokoso. As we wrap up our program this afternoon, I want to extend a personal and heartfelt thank you to Asai Kasei and its employees for their commitment to this agreement and for helping to bring this project to Port Colborne and Niagara. Minister Champagne, it was great to hear you talk about our students and staff from Port Colborne High School, my alma mater. That's our future right there. Thanks for coming. As Mayor of Port Colborne, I'm thrilled to welcome Asai Kasei and to partner with you on this project, which has come together at unprecedented speed, thanks to your diligent efforts and collaboration. To Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford, a sincere thank you to you and your teams, Minister Champagne, Minister Fedeli, to help this transformational project come to fruition. To Chair Bradley and especially the Regional Economic Development Team, thank you for being a part of Team Niagara as we welcome Asai Kasei to our community. To the BMI Group, thank you for your support in building a better community and for your work bringing in additional private partners to this project team. It was said earlier that this is Port Colborne's biggest project, and it is the biggest project to date, and as we were speaking with our friends from Japan earlier, we talked about how the International Nickel Company came to Port Colborne in 1914. They had a height of 3,000 employees. So this is on that scale, actually quite larger than that scale. But you know, it's been that long since we've had an investment in Port Colborne like this. So finally, to Scott Louie and all of our City of Port Colborne staff and council members, to my good friend Paul Ferris, involved with this project, thank you. We could not have done this without your tireless contributions to making our community better for decades to come. With that, our program today comes to a close, and I wish you all safe travels as you return home this afternoon. Domo arigato. Thank you very much. Merci.
Nous allons maintenant commencer avec la période des questions. We will now start with the question and answer period. First question goes to Barbara Patrocinio, iPolitics.
Hi, my question is for the Prime Minister. Will Canada follow the U.S. lead and impose tariffs on EVs from China?
Obviously, we're watching closely what our closest trading partner in the United States is doing. But let's take a step back here. Canada, over the past number of years, has strategically and deliberately built itself up as one of the #1 places in the world to invest in an EV supply chain. Bloomberg recently ranked us as #1 for lithium-ion battery supply chain. The auto companies of the world and their suppliers are investing in Canada, and it's because we made a deliberate decision to draw in those investments, to partner, to make sure that we have not just good jobs for decades and generations to come, but that we have a growing economy producing some of the net zero solutions that the world is going to need. And part of that is understanding that whether it's democracies in Europe or across the Americas or even in Asia, people need reliable suppliers, reliable partners. The Japanese ambassador was talking about that. The fact that we can rely on friends who are there to look for the win-wins, to create and deliver the ingredients that our net zero economies will need over the coming years and create real prosperity in communities like Port Colborne. This is what we have been doing over the past years, and our focus on that means that we can stand here today in yet another EV supply chain announcement. These are the things we're doing to create a positive alternative in the world, to create opportunities for Canadian workers and companies as the world continues to invest in Canada. This is what we're here celebrating today, and it's great news for Port Colborne, it's great news for Ontario, it's great news for Canada.
Next question.
Good afternoon, I guess now. This message is questions for either the Prime Minister or Minister Champagne. If the Americans get in a trade war, it will involve us likely because of how integrated our systems are. But the best defense, they say, to that is to be self-sufficient. Yet we're 10 to 15 years away from any of these lithium mines or cobalt mines becoming, operational. And that's maybe, meaning we're beholden to the Chinese products now. Yet with graphite, for example, China now requires government approval for exports. Does that worry you? And is this the right time to pick a fight?
Well, we know, first of all, and we've seen it, that whether it's the example of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine that followed up with them weaponizing energy and critical minerals exports to the European Union, there is a need and a desire to have not just efficient supply chains, but resilient supply chains, friendshoring, working together strategically to make sure that no country, particularly a country that has sometimes shown itself to be extremely challenging to the aims of our democracies and our successes, could corner the market on our net zero future. That's why Canada has made investments, and there are lithium mines up and running in Canada, and there continue to be investments in more and in processing facilities as well. We know there is a need to build alternatives here in Canada for the world, and not just in Canada. We're working with places like Australia and Indonesia and Chile on developing those resilient supply chains that are the necessary ingredients into our net zero economies, our net zero future. So we are being very, very strong with a solid offense on creating the resiliency and the support that the world's economy is going to need from a reliable, friendly partner like Canada. This was a deliberate choice by this government 8 years ago to realize that we had an opportunity, even before we saw the disruptions of supply chains in the pandemic, we had an opportunity to put Canada forward as a solid place to invest, a solid partner for economic growth around the world, and we've seen the results. Since 2015, foreign direct investment by international companies has increased by 60% into Canada. Last year, we were the top per capita foreign direct investment amongst advanced industrialized economies in the G7, and we're actually third in absolute terms last year after the US and Brazil in terms of foreign direct investment. So the world is noticing that Canada is one of those places to invest and to create those solutions that provides the alternatives and the resilience that the world's going to need. Okay. On sait que le monde et la situation géopolitique à travers le monde devient plus incertain et plus instable. On a vu des pays autoritaires comme la Russie particulièrement, la façon qu'ils ont utilisé l'énergie et les minéraux comme armes de guerre contre l'Ukraine et surtout contre l'Union européenne, mais aussi la Chine qui est en train d'utiliser ses puissances économiques pour mettre de la pression sur les démocraties à travers le monde. Nous avons besoin d'alternatives autour du monde. Et le Canada démontre cette alternative. Depuis 8 ans, des investissements stratégiques pour créer de la résilience dans nos chaînes d'approvisionnement à travers le monde, mais surtout entre les démocraties. Un endroit fiable qui va pouvoir livrer les ingrédients nécessaires, les éléments nécessaires à notre économie de l'avenir. Le Canada est là de façon positive et on est en train d'attirer des investissements de partout dans le monde. Depuis 2015, on a augmenté de 60% le montant d'investissement direct par des compagnies à l'étranger au Canada. L'année passée, on était le premier pays en proportionnément au G7 pour les investissements et le troisième dans le monde pour les investissements directs après le Brésil et les États-Unis. Le Canada est un endroit qui démontre que les démocraties peuvent aussi contribuer de façon essentielle aux ressources et aux solutions technologiques dont le monde a besoin. Et c'est parce qu'on a fait ce choix en tant que gouvernement d'investir, d'attirer et surtout de créer des bons emplois pour les générations à venir dans des communautés fortes et résilientes à travers le pays.
Next question.
Hi, Al Sweeney from CHCH News here in Hamilton, or in this region. I have a question for Mr. Trudeau, if I could ask you a question. Thanks. Can you tell us anything more about this decision? Why you decided on Port Colborne? What was it that attracted you here? And if you can say anything about the impact that you expect it to have on this area, the number of jobs, whether people from the area will get those jobs, that kind of thing?
どうしてここのコード交番に、投資するということを決めたんでしょうか。ここでの魅力っていうのは何なんでしょうか。それから御社の投資によるこの地域による大きなインパクトっていうのはどんなものでしょうか。例えば雇用数ですとか、雇用するんであればこの地域からやろうかということです。
はい、ご質問ありがとうございます。旭化成は正直言いますと、2年から3年前から、海外でセパレーターの工場を持つような計画を立てていました。
Well, thank you very much for your question. In fact, Asahi Kasei has been planning to build separate plants in foreign countries about 2 to 3 years ago.
最初の候補がヨーロッパでした。
So our first choice was in Europe.
次はアメリカも調査をしました。
Next, we decided to investigate in the opportunity in the United States.
正直言いますと、カナダは3番目に調査をした国であります。
So, frankly speaking, Canada was our third country to investigate opportunities for investment.
しかしながら、調査をすればするほど、やはりその政府、連邦政府は州政府、あるいは市の熱意が非常に伝わってきたということと、非常に優秀な人材がカナダにいるということが分かってきました。
But as we progress in our investigation, little by little, we have learned that there is a huge enthusiasm coming from the federal government, provincial government, and the local municipal government. And also, we have found that there are plenty of great quality human resources available here.
そして、これから我々はこのポートコルボーンで会社を設立して、そして市民として一生懸命働きたいと思っていますけれども、最大のポイントは世界で一番だというふうな思っているセパレーターのテクノロジーをカナダに持ってきて、そしてバッテリーが一番世界で強い一番のバッテリーを作るということで、カナダにおいてテクノロジーの高い商品を作るということで、まず貢献をしていきたいというふうに思います。
So we are planning to build a plant in Port Colborne, and we are setting up a local company here as well. So first of all, we'd like to be a good corporate citizen in this area, and then we'd like to work hard. And also, we are proud that we are bringing in the world's best separator technology to Canada. Which I'm quite sure to contribute further the greatest battery technology production in the world here in Canada. So by bringing a superior technology, we like to contribute to the local economy.
我々はコストが安いということだけで来たわけではなくて、ここで工場を作ることによって世界で一番のバッテリーが作れる、そして我々のセパレーターが作れるという自信が持てたので作ることを決定したということです。以上です。
It's not only the reasonable cost we can enjoy here, but our purpose of bringing production here is to produce the best separator in the world here in Port Colborne, so that we can contribute to producing the best battery in the world here in Canada.
Thank you very much for your question.
Very good.
Marco Ovid, I'm with the Toronto Star. My question is either for Mr. Trudeau or Mr. Mills, just trying to understand a bit technically, we're all trying to wrap our heads around the different stages of the supply chain here. Can you give us maybe for a layman's point of view, what a separator does, how it fits into a battery, and then a little bit like where do you get your source materials? Are they going to be from Canada? Are they going to be from abroad? And when you finish your separator, where does it go after this? Will it go to another Canadian plant or will it get shipped abroad? Thanks very much.
Okay.
今ですね、このセパレートを持ってきて
I can explain what a separator is, but
違ったステージにいると思います、世界で。で、例えばここでセパレーターを作るということなんですけども、その材料、原料というのはどこから調達するのか、そしてここでセパレーターを作った後、それがカナダの自動車に使われるのか、それともどこに輸出されるのかということ、さらにはこのセパレーターというのはまず何なのかということをご紹介。
はい、セパレーターはこの数年、非常に競争が激しくなっている素材です。
Well, in these few years, recently, the separator industry has been facing a fierce competition, more and more competition.
したがって、我々のセパレーターの原材料も、しばらくは日本から持ってくるものもあるかもしれませんけれども、いずれ近いうちに、この北米地域で原料も調達する。あるいはそのために我々の技術を、その原料を調達する先に技術を出すことも考えているところです。
Therefore, for the time being, we'll be importing materials for manufacturing separators from Japan, but eventually we'd like to procure the materials in North America. And in order to do so, we're also thinking about transferring the technology to those suppliers of materials.
そして販売ですけど、もちろんカナダで買っていただける電池のメーカーさんにはしっかり販売したいと思いますし、アメリカにも販売したいと思いますし、我々のテクノロジーは非常にサステナブルなテクノロジー、エコを追求しているテクノロジーですので、その我々のセパレーターが欲しいというところであるならば、もちろんヨーロッパにも輸出することはあるでしょうと思いますが、まずはカナダ、アメリカの地域に我々のセパレーターを販売していきたいと思いますし、工場が稼働して、そう時間がかからないうちにフル稼働に持っていけるというふうな自信を持っています。
Also, in terms of separators, after producing separators where they are going, we first like to sell those separators to the current manufacturers in Canada, also in the United States. So we first aim at selling those to manufacturers in North America. But because this technology is very superior and then also sustainable, eco-friendly, therefore, if there are any manufacturers wanting to have separators, we will definitely consider exporting to Europe as well. But not very long after the plant is built, I'm quite confident that we can bring the production to the full production capacity.
Thank you very much for your question.
Next question.
Hello, Bobby Herstova with CBC News here. My question is for whoever wants to answer it. You all talked about workers and how this is a great thing for workers and that's the future. But there has been criticism about the use of foreign workers at EV plants, EV battery plants. So my question is, what guarantees were sought and received about who will get to work at this plant?
Well, I want to say thank you for your question. And as the Prime Minister said, we chose our partners very carefully. We made sure that we would build the full value chain in the country and making sure that we would maximize the impact for suppliers, but also for Canadian workers. In fact, Minister Fedeli was just sharing with me that he's on his way to Japan to make sure that we would meet a number of people and connect. Once these investments, these anchor investments have been done in the country, our jobs is to maximize the opportunities for Canadians, whether it's Canadian workers, Canadian construction workers, but also the whole supply chain, because you're looking at generational investments that are going to create tens of thousands of jobs over the lifetime of the plant. So I can assure you that in all our discussions with partners like Asahi Kasei and all the others, we've always made sure that we maximize the number of jobs for Canadians, but also not only during the plant and the construction phase, but certainly making sure that all the suppliers will be involved in that. And I can tell you, when you have a plant like that in Port Colborne or even in the region, you're changing the landscape for generations to come. When I was at the high school this morning, you could see, and you just ask the kids, you don't need to ask me, you should have seen the spark in their eyes when I said there'll be opportunities for you for generations to come. And this is what we want to build in every community where we bring an anchor investors like Asahi Kasei.
Hi, Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. Prime Minister, I want to ask you about leadership.
polls have put you 20 points behind the Conservatives, and it doesn't seem to be getting better despite your recent communications push from your budget. The public appears to have an overwhelmingly negative view of you personally, and you seem to have lost control of the conversation on some of the key issues that Canadians care about. I think the public might be looking at you and your position right now and thinking, for the good of the Liberal Party, why is he staying on?
Thank you for your concern, Laura. But as you see, we're here investing in good jobs for today and for generations to come. The world is in a challenging place, absolutely. But that's why for 8 years this government has been putting forward investments and a frame that both fights climate change and creates good jobs and economic growth, that understands that if you want to bring in strong investments and great jobs for Canadians, you have to be making investments in things like childcare, like pharmacare, like healthcare, investments in supporting our seniors, investments to make sure that young people get the best opportunity as they go off to post-secondary education. I know there are lots of folks in Ottawa thinking about process. I'm focused on results for Canadians. I'm focused on delivering the kinds of things that are going to set Canada and Canadians up for success over the coming decades, because that's the moment we're in right now. A different government years ago wouldn't have made the choice to build an EV ecosystem here in Canada. Would have doubled down on the oil and gas industry and stayed away from anything that threatened the oil and gas industry. Well, we know that the pressure we're putting on the oil and gas industry to decarbonize and to invest in renewables goes hand in hand with our decision to invest massively in the electrification of our economies. Because we have the clean electricity here in Canada, we have the high-quality manufacturing workers, we have the social and economic stability that countries around the world and companies around the world are looking for. This is about building a plan for the future of this country. That's what we're focused on, and that's what I will continue to be focused on, because building a better future for Canadians, bringing in fairness for every generation, that's what I am 100% focused on right now. Merci. Ma job, c'est de livrer pour les Canadiens. Dans un moment d'incertitude, d'anxiété par rapport à où est en train d'aller le monde, c'est important de créer cette réussite pour les travailleurs canadiens, les communautés et les régions à travers le pays. C'est pour ça qu'on a fait le choix d'investir dans l'économie de l'avenir. Ce n'est pas un choix que d'autres gouvernements auraient pris il y a 8 ans. Si on veut à tout prix voir la réussite du secteur pétrolier dans ce pays, on n'aurait pas investi dans des véhicules électriques. C'est un choix que ce gouvernement a fait. Et ça a livré maintenant le pays classé numéro 1 dans le monde pour les chaînes d'approvisionnement en batterie pour véhicules électriques. C'est un choix qu'on a fait pour investir dans les technologies et les innovations nécessaires, investir dans les compagnies pour faire partenaire, pour devenir source d'emploi pour les Canadiens, mais aussi investir dans nos communautés, parce qu'on sait que des centres de petite enfance abordables et de qualité, l'assurance médicaments, des investissements dans les soins de santé, des investissements dans une communauté, une société résiliente et réussite, c'est comme ça qu'on va investir et attirer les bons emplois pour les générations à venir. Ce n'est pas du hasard, c'est un choix délibéré que ce gouvernement a fait. Il reste encore beaucoup de travail à faire et on va continuer d'être concentré là-dessus. Merci.
Dernière question.
Premier Ford, my question is about cars, but about car theft. How is the threat of suspending a driver's license actually going to make a difference in stopping auto theft? Somebody who's willing to steal a car probably isn't worried about the consequences of driving without a license.
Well, thanks for the question. I've said right from the beginning, we look at bail reform, and we worked well with the federal government on bail reform, worked well with the Minister LeBlanc on that as well, making sure we tighten up Montreal Port, which again, we've worked well with Minister LeBlanc on that as well. I believe in mandatory sentences. Someone's going in, stealing your car or kicking your doors in, putting a gun to your head, which has happened on numerous occasions. They should be going to jail immediately. What we've seen here in Ontario, people committing crimes, heinous crimes, and they're out on bail. Not once, not twice, 3, 4, 5 times. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the solution, there's many solutions, but one is making sure when we catch these criminals, we throw them behind bars and keep them there and discourage the rest of them to do the same thing. But I'm tough on crime.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes today's press conference.
Thank you. Thanks.